Want to manage planning activities by multiple participants across your organization? You can use the integrated calendar to generate and administer your planning tasks. The calendar uses a combination of two types of events to manage work: processes, which are high-level objects that contain a range of activities, and various types of tasks, which are individual duties that can be assigned to and completed by specific users to contribute to the overall process. You can create events manually, or you can take advantage of a wizard to generate your events automatically. The first step is to set up the overarching process that will contain all the related tasks. Define a name and then specify the start and due dates and times. You can choose whether you want events to be activated automatically when the start date and time is reached. You can also attach any related files that the users to which the tasks are assigned will use to complete the work. Next, you can choose an underlying model. For planning activities, the model must be set up for planning purposes. If data locking is part of the process, that also needs to be enabled in the model. The data locking configuration for relevant dimensions is defined here. If you want tasks to be assigned automatically to users or teams, the model also needs to contain a dimension that has users or teams associated with one of its properties, such as person responsible. In the Calendar wizard, choose the driving dimension for automatic task assignment. The wizard generates a new event for each member you select. Selecting members ensures that the work files of each event are filtered according to the corresponding member. If you want, you can also apply filters to limit the context of the tasks based on other dimensions. The next step is to define the task types you want to generate. You can choose to generate a general task with associated review tasks for each leaf member. For this type of event, you can also specify the number of rounds of review you want to take place. Alternatively, you can select any calendar template to define the event types and their structure, provided you've been granted access. Next, you can add optional automatic data locking tasks before and after other tasks. If you want a better overview of the generated tasks, you can also choose to organize tasks into member-specific groups within a process. You can have the tasks automatically assigned to or viewed by users by specifying the property of the driving dimension that contains the relevant user IDs. You can also add individual users or teams for each role and event type. If you use a template to generate the event types, information about users and teams is pre-filled as defined in the template. Next, you can adjust how the tasks will be named. By default, the relevant member description is appended to the process name. Here you can also review or change the default suffixes of the different event types. If you're using a template to generate the event types, the suffixes are also pre-filled. Optionally, you can add instructions or notes you'd like to share with the people involved, either for the entire process or for each event. You can now preview the list of events that will be generated, along with the names of any assignees or viewers, before completing the process. The full list of auto-generated events shows in a hierarchy, with each task contained within the overall process. When you review the details for one of the tasks, you can see that the context is restricted to the member on which the task is based, meaning that the user's view of any associated files will show the data only for that member. Here you can refine the events further, such as by assigning users to various roles or adding a private memo. You can also adjust settings you previously selected in the wizard, such as extending the duration of the overall process. When you do this, you can choose whether to extend all related events or just the process itself. You can add other tasks manually to capture additional work if you didn't define them in the wizard, such as reviewing the results of the overall process once the other tasks are complete. In this case, the task is dependent on the successful completion of the auto-generated tasks and is due after they're finished. Once you've created the review task, you must assign it to a user. You can use the same process to capture steps, such as locking the data to prevent further changes once the individual tasks are complete. Like the review task, the data locking task is dependent on the successful completion of the previous event. For this type of task, you must also specify the model for which the data will be locked. Your data locking preferences are stored in the model but can be refined here. Once the entire process is set up to meet your requirements, you can activate it manually. Or, if the setting is enabled, have it start automatically on the start date. When you activate the process, it kicks off the related tasks, meaning that assignees will receive emails and notifications informing them of the work to be done. If you want to use this process as a template for future events, you can save it here. To be saved as a template, your process can contain no more than 20 events. For more details on how to create events in the calendar, check out the links in the description and try it for yourself today.